It's what's really going on right now on The Roger Hedgecock Show.
Welcome back to the Aramco Group studio at UTTV. If you're a Target card holder or you put in your debit or credit card at Target, you remember that 28 million people or something or other had their credit compromised in Target. Not the only ones, a whole bunch of retailers. The military's concerned about this. China's hacking everything. Their latest F-35 fighter, their J-20, looks like the F-35 because it is the F-35. They stole the plans. So we've got all kinds of cybersecurity problems, but here's the surprise for San Diego. Cybersecurity may be the next biomed, maybe the next center that San Diego comes up with conclusions, because the businesses and the Navy and a lot of other people working together have a determination to come up with something called the Cyber Center of Excellence, which would pull all those players together. So today, Holly Smithson is with us. She's Director of Enterprise Practice for Centec Global, and is involved with, as President and CEO of this Cyber Center of Excellence. Holly, welcome.
Hi, thanks. Appreciate you having us.
Nice to see you here. Eric Bruvald is here as well. Used to be at EDC. Now he's the President of National University Systems Institute for Policy Research.
Hi, Roger. Good to be back.
You were at EDC, were you not?
Yes, I was.
The Economic Development Corporation. So economic development's in your genes as well, in the DNA of this thing. So talk about this, Holly. First of all, what's the intent here?
So the genesis of the Cyber Center of Excellence actually came from San Diego Regional EDC and the National University's Economic Impact Study. And in that study, they projected that this was going to be the next new industry for actually the country, and certainly San Diego, because of all of the private sector companies needed to be right in front and center to capture all the economic activity. I think the benchmark that we'll be working with at the Cyber Center of Excellence is that today we have 100 cyber companies that call San Diego home.
100?
100. And then of those 100 companies, and in addition to SPAWAR, we have about 8,000 cybersecurity employees. So it's a huge opportunity for us, and we want to take those numbers north.
So we've got all these employees. Those employees are making pretty good money, Eric, right? I mean, this isn't the ordinary run-of-the-mill wage job.
That's right. I mean, wages are around $100,000 in the industry. It has a multiplier of about 1 to 1. So for every one job in cybersecurity, we get another job in another part of the economy as those wages are spent and
job
circulate.
Equivalent.
Yeah, exactly. Yep. And circulate through San Diego County. So it has a real value there. And the other thing about that, Roger.
Let me just say that $100,000 jobs are pretty scarce. This is an important thing to just stop and think about here. We're generating a new bunch of jobs because of the concentration of military and civilian companies, just described by Holly, that's now generating jobs at $100,000 average?
That's right.
Wow.
The wages are really high in that industry. And the other really exciting thing about cybersecurity that we found through the workforce survey that we did of companies is that there's not necessarily jobs that require a bachelor's or a master's of engineering. People with high levels of skills and certifications can also achieve those jobs.
In other words, if you were playing video games from age 2 up.
Well, or
something like that.
Well, most importantly for San Diego, people that might have spent 6 or 7 years in the military and are coming out as senior level enlisteds with high level cyber skills, but not necessarily a college degree, can slot into those jobs.
So it looks like San Diego might have an answer to a problem. Holly, let's describe it again. It's not only a military problem of getting hacked with military secrets, but it's the everyday consumer problem in the private sector. Not just Target, but I didn't mean to single them out, but lots of other companies.
Yeah, actually this problem is so pervasive. I mean, not only does it capture what we saw in Target and Neiman Marcus and Michaels and a whole host of other companies that either know or don't know or just have opted not to disclose it. But you also have a number of companies that are trying to respond to that, both on a personal level and a corporate level. So while the military is a huge, huge magnet for the Cyber Center of Excellence to be housed in San Diego, I think the real opportunity is that we recognize it is so pervasive, cybersecurity, cyber theft, cyber hacks. They're called hacktivists, if you will.
Yes.
And so those folks are going into, they're really focusing on the high-tech innovation clusters that we house in San Diego, like the biotech, like the clean tech, like the medical devices, certainly insurance, and of course the retail.
You've been involved in this professionally now with these companies you've been involved with. Are the hackers ahead of us in terms of our defense, in terms of our ability to stop them from hacking into the secrets, whether it's corporate or consumer information or the new jet fighter or whatever it is? Are they ahead of us?
They are light years ahead of us, Roger. In fact, when we think about cybersecurity, for those of us that are getting along in our day and getting along in our day-to-day lives, the undermarket or the black market of cybersecurity is so incredibly sophisticated. They are actually modeling what we're doing here in the United States, which we're known for marketing and we're known for services industry. And so the cybersecurity black market actually has cyber call centers and data centers where they actually, if they're sending you like out of Target, they're going to actually sell you 1 million data packets with Roger's date of birth, with Roger's social security, and they sell those anywhere from $20 to $100 per data packet. So if you figure you sold 1 million of those and you sold every one of those 1 million packets, you're looking at $2.5 billion in revenue. So that's a phenomenal.
I'm cutting up my credit cards as you're talking. So
they want to make sure that you're getting quality customer service, you on the black
that's
market.
how sophisticated they are.
That's how together they are.
So are the defenses coming up? I mean, this is, I guess, what you guys want to do with this center is get these companies with innovations and answers to be in this cluster here because they're all going to feed off each other because they all talk to each other. And the military, of course, is way ahead on some of this stuff, but are they?
So that's why, Syntech Global, for example, is a San Diego-based company, but they've been doing this for the better part of 15 years. And they map with the highest standards of the NSA, and they've been doing all the validation and all the authorization for the information systems within the U.S. Navy. So the notion of repurposing that, those same practices, those same methodologies into the commercial market, they can do that blind. And that's what's really exciting about the Cyber Center of Excellence. It's not just SPAWAR, it's not just the government. It's actually being driven by the private sector and an idea to collaborate and accelerate what we think is a proper leadership for San Diego.
Now, Eric, speaking of SPAWAR, which of course is the center we've had here for a long time in San Diego on its kind of high-tech matters with the military and particularly the Navy, some rumor was published a little bit ago that SPAWAR, in terms of the budget problems with the defense budget, might be consolidated with a similar kind of effort in North Carolina. What's going on with that?
You know, I think that's one of those things that spreads around the internet like wildfire. The U.S. Navy has tremendous assets here in San Diego, has a need to provide cybersecurity services here in San Diego. So I don't see any credence in the rumor that the flag would be moving to Virginia. But even if it were to, there would still be the need for thousands of cyber professionals in the Navy and in SPAWAR to service the assets that we have here in San Diego.
One of the things you said I found very hopeful. We've had a number of different shows on all the veterans who are coming out now of the services as they downsize after these 10-year wars with lots of very talented people. We focus on a few that have really big mental and physical problems, but there's a whole bunch of talented people going into the workforce and a whole bunch of efforts to get them integrated. Here's a wonderful way to translate all that cyber tech knowledge that you've developed in the military and put it into the private sector.
As Holly really said, I mean, it's an industry which is going to grow tremendously over the next decade. There's going to be tremendous investments on both from the private sector in terms of companies, but just individuals in terms of ensuring greater cyber protection for their resources. It was an industry which has high wages, but also has a really significant difference in terms of this requirement of college degree versus certification and skills. And I think that as San Diego really grapples with this problem of a more two-tiered economy or a barbelled economy, this is a great industry to put resources in because it can fill a need that we have in our region.
What do you think the first year's goals are going to be then, Holly, in terms of the CCOE, the Cyber Center of Excellence?
Yes, so the CCOE obviously is convening and launching in 2014. We did that last week, and I think the focus for us is to pull together all of these big global giants that are in the space, like Syntech, like ESET, Qualcomm, General Dynamics.
And they're all involved.
All of these guys are here. These guys have been doing this for a long time. This is, although it's a new center of excellence, it's not a new game. And so the notion that we can bring these guys together and figure out how we can best identify and roll out programs, I think will be our core function in year one. I think one of the things I am going to be leading is that we want to do information sharing. So one of the things we heard from FBI Director Comey, he was at a big conference last month, and he instructed his 52 field offices to make a concerted effort to reach out to the private industry and the industry groups to make sure that we are constantly and regularly offering this information sharing, so that when we hear an attack like Target, there are so many different ways in which we can attack you. There's different tactics, there's different techniques, and so the notion that we can try to better understand how we're most vulnerable, I think is going to be our first line of defense. One of the things I like to compare it to is Ocean's 11. You've seen the movie?
Yes, of course.
Ocean's 11, Ocean's 12, right? So think about how they wanted to go in and attack the safe, right? So they try to get creative and they say, we're going to go in and we're going to pretend to be the bellhop. Then we're going to get in underneath the magnetic field. Then we're going to go in and hang ourselves, suspend ourselves from the ceiling.
It's always tougher to be the defender in all this stuff, too.
So these guys are coming in very creative, different ways,
Yes.
much like in the thief of these big treasures. And so we have to be thinking about how we have to actually try to be in the head of these psycho cyber guys.
We better be. Wow. All right. Well, this is going to open up a whole bunch of interviews that I hope you guys come back and talk about. Holly and Eric, thanks so much for joining us today.
Thanks for your interest.
UTTV.
Thanks, Roger.
And thank you for being there. We'll be back from the Aramco Group studios here at UTTV.